This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Ben Settle, compulsively punchable.
He's the kind of guy who you'd probably just punch on the arm really hard if you ever met him.
Worshipped by feminists.
He pokes fun at feminism and women, just joking around, his whole sandwich making thing.
Mildly inspiring.
Yes, I recommend the Ben Settle Show, and anybody who isn't on it, that's their own loss.
Somewhat authentic.
Ben is a very distinct personality. There's no fluff. I can't stand fluff.
Syrupy sweet.
Tells it like it is, and sometimes may not be the most polite manner, shall we say.
Kind of useful.
So I have spent tens of thousands of dollars on coaching and masterminds, and I've learned more from Ben Settle's podcast than from any of that.
Semi-intelligent.
Ben sounds like a crazy guy at times, but he's one of the smartest individuals in marketing I've ever met.
Mostly forgettable.
He's always in the forefront of my mind.
The BenSettle.com podcast begins now.
This is Ben Settle at bensettle.com with the bensettle.com podcast. Jonathan, I say that for your benefit.
Thank you.
So you don't keep slipping up and saying the Ben Settle Show, because even 5 shows in, we're still struggling with this. It's like, well, think about it, though. We had 2.5 years of podcasts, saying the same title over and over and over.
Was it that long?
Yeah, we were. Well, yes. It was February 2014. We killed it officially September 2016, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Damn. Went by so quickly.
It sure did. Time flies when you're not having fun with me on the air.
What made you want to come back to this, Ben? Because you could have just stopped podcasting.
I missed it, dude. It's therapy for me, I don't even care if anyone's listening right now, which is probably a bad thing because I say stupid things I shouldn't be saying. I'll start going off on weird stuff, but I really don't. I do it. It's fun talking to you. It's entertaining for myself. And, I get to put some stuff out there. I get to, think about this. This is the way I look at it. All the emails I write, all the podcasts I do, all the products I create, all this stuff, it's my legacy, right? That's the way I look at it. I'm building a legacy. I have all this knowledge. I have no idea who I'll ever be able to pass this knowledge. Like, I can't pass knowledge to my dog, right? My dog's not going to be with me forever anyway. So I have no heir to pass this stuff on to as of yet. I never say never. I have not adopted a child like you did. I mean, you went and took it by the balls and you made it happen.
Cupcake made
I
it
just
happen.
haven't. You and Cupcake just, have done it, first of all, let me just congratulate, like I told you, I'm going to do this publicly. It's a very selfless act to adopt a kid. I think that's really cool. I don't think I could do it. I really don't. I think it's got to be my own flesh and blood, or, all this stuff dies with me.
Wow.
It's going to be in an archive. It's just how I am. For whatever reason, that's how I say that now, but who knows, one day that may change. But probably because, Jonathan, I'm the last of my line. I am the last of my Settle. Well, me and my brother are the last of our Settle line. And there's no telling if he's going to have any kids, and I may not either. So, it could end with this archive of what I'm leaving could be the last of the Settle line that I'm from. This could be the end of it. This could be the legacy stuff right here. This could be considered my children. All these podcast episodes and all this.
And your emails.
Okay. These are in my emails. Every time I email, it's kind of like,
putting your seed out into the world.
It's like feeding the geese. And so, there it goes. But anyway, I don't even know how we got on that one. But all right, let's talk about something serious. Let's be grown-ups for a second.
Oh, shoot.
1 second only. That's it. All right. So, as I've mentioned many times in the old Ben Settle show, and I have mentioned many times my emails and in my email players and all this stuff. And now I'm going to be mentioning it probably a lot on this show. So if you're listening to this show, just get used to it. I'm going to bring it up. I've learned so much from it. Is for the last almost 2 years now, I've been studying this thing called Wing Chun Kung Fu. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's okay. But if you've seen the Ip Man movies, that's Wing Chun. In fact, that's the exact style I'm learning. So it's not quite as sexy as the movies show it to be, but they're still pretty good movies. Jonathan, have you ever seen the Ip Man movies? I mean, does this have you've heard of them, seen them?
Yeah, I think they're on Netflix, right? I've never seen one though.
Yes, there's 3 of them on Netflix. All 3. I guess they're going to make a 4th one. Dan Locke. See, I mentioned Dan Locke in one of the last shows. Him and I were talking at Brian Kurtz's masterclass, and he was showing me he was showing me pictures of on his website or something, his lifestyle type pictures. And I said, wait a minute, hold on, stop. He goes, what? I go, is that a Wing Chun dummy that you're practicing on? He goes, yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm in, we had another commonality at that point. We were talking about Wing Chun and all that. And so anyway, there's a lot of business stuff that comes through it. And he was telling me the same thing. It's just there's a lot of principles, not just tactics, that come from something like Wing Chun. And anyway, he was the one telling me there's a 4th movie coming. That's the reason I brought that up. I was trying to remember. So anyway, I want to talk about one important lesson that I taught this in a daily email last year. And then there was a guy, I'm not going to say who it is because I don't know if he was doing it to swipe me or if he just somehow magically was thinking the same thing I did at the same time. Because it's not like he swiped what I said. He just swiped the concept. You know what I mean? Which is not it's not the end of the world or anything. But it was kind of funny how right after my email about this came out, suddenly he put a blog post up about the same thing. And I was like, this is, that's a weird coincidence. Right. And that's fine. But I don't think he did a particularly good job of explaining. It's like he looked at Wikipedia or something, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I could just be a little bitter about it. I don't know. Don't listen to me. Forget it. Just tune off. Screw it.
It's my podcast. Don't listen to me.
It's my podcast. I'll cry if I want to, motherfucker. So
pattern interrupt.
Okay. So anyway, a brand interruption, whatever that means. I still can't figure out what that means. So last year when I was so I take private lessons for this from this. My Sifu lives in the Burgle, so it's an 1.5-hour drive from where I'm at and all that. And my training partner, because his health is really not, hasn't been doing really well. He just had some health challenges, just happened with aging and that sort of thing. And so he can't, like he's got like arthritis and stuff, so he can't really spar with me. He'd be in a lot of he could kill me if he wanted to, but he's not going to be sparring with me and that sort of stuff. So my training partner is actually his wife. Now, she's a black belt in another kind of kung fu called Sansu, which is a completely different kind of kung fu, completely different in every way, shape, or form, very few similarities. But, she's kind of she could probably kill me too if she wanted to, but she's my training partner. And so he had us, more and more, he's having us train with our eyes closed when we kind of do our drills and everything, which is an interesting thing. The first time that happened, I didn't know what to expect because he was talking about how, you need to be, you want to be able to see. Now he's blind in one eye and is legally blind in the other. So, and he's still, really, you can't hit this guy. You know what I mean? And the reason why is because it's more about interpreting force and things like that than it is seeing. Your eyes actually move very slow or, can be slow on picking things up, but feeling things, you can feel what's going to happen. It's weird because until I started doing this, I didn't really understand the Daredevil TV show, right? Like as much as I do now. He's got super senses and all that, but he's blind, but he can feel and interpret things happening before they actually happen. It's a very interesting thing. So when we started doing this blindfolded, it was interesting. I actually do better, Jonathan, when I can't see than when I can see.
Wow.
In Wing Chun. Isn't that a very strange thing? At least when we're drilling, we haven't done full-fledged sparring yet like this. So that could change, but it's interesting that I actually do better on the drills because I'm not overthinking things. I'm just feeling my way through it, and it's a very interesting experience. I always tell everybody I highly recommend Wing Chun for anybody. It is a really pure system of fighting, and it's so many similarities to what we do in email marketing and all that sort of thing, because it's very principle based rather than tactic based. There are tactics, but it's all based on certain principles. And that's what I probably like about it so much. But anyway, the reason I'm able to do better with my eyes closed, and I'm not saying I'm some master at this, Jonathan. I'm not. I'm 2 years in almost, and I'm still like a newbie at this stuff. It's ridiculous because I don't get to train every day. I only go once a week, and then I got to practice on my own. And sometimes I get lazy and that sort of thing. But the one most important principle, because we talked about principles versus tactics, this is a principle that applies to Wing Chun and it applies to business. Really, it applies to all of life. I mean, you can apply this to any part of your life you want to. And they call it control the center line. Or as Grandmaster likes to say, occupy the path. So if something's coming at you, you're going to put something in the path so that it can't hit you. So I'm not going to get into the Wing Chun examples of that because this is all audio. I mean, just watch It Man. You'll see it all day long. But this is like the whole thing. This is what makes everything work when Wing Chun is controlling the center line. This is not even just a Wing Chun thing. It's also a chess thing. Jonathan, I don't know if you play a lot of chess or not. I dabble at chess. I'm not. That's the thing with chess is I get bored playing it, so I tend to make stupid mistakes and all that. But even with chess, you kind of want to control the center of the board. There's tactical reasons for that. Military tactical reasons. They always want to control the center and hold the center and all that sort of thing. But in business and in what we do, this is even more important, I think. So occupying the path, controlling the center line. Here's some examples of that for what we do. doing things, what they call Operation Money Suck, what John Carlton and Gary Halbert call Operation Money Suck, where you only do the thing that you're indispensable at and you let everyone else do everything else. That is a form of controlling the center line. That is your thing that you do. For me, it's email and copy. That's my center line. That's the path that nobody's coming in and doing that for me. I'm doing it myself. That's the most important part of my business. That's what works for me. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm indispensable at in my own business. So that's what I focus on. If I sit there and try to write Google ads, instead of having Jim Yagi do it for me, I'm gonna be way out. It's the equivalent of in a fight losing my balance. I'm not gonna be in the fight for very long if that happens. It's gonna take away from me doing what I really need to do and should be focusing on. And everybody, in my humble but very accurate opinion, Jonathan, I think everybody should be taking this attitude, their Operation Money Suck thing. That is a version of controlling the center line. That is occupying the path. But if you start getting distracted with other tasks that you shouldn't be doing, that you're not good at, it's going to screw you up. I once helped somebody who I shall not name put a website up, because this person was all guru fanboyed out with all the complicated funnel softwares and all that out there. All these things, right, that are supposed to like simplify things, but really just they're always like, this person was always on the phone with support. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I showed her how to just put a simple HTML page up, like old school style, right? Like using SeaMonkey, which is the software. It's free, open source software. It's SeaMonkey. It's not, you're not going to make the best looking site in the world, but you get something up there. And I showed her how to do it. And I showed her how to upload it, to FTP it and everything. But she spent so much time, like days, trying to figure something out trying to figure all this stuff out, because she didn't outsource that. That was my whole point. She should have outsourced this to somebody else. This whole like setting the funnel stuff up. It's not her strong point. It's not at all her strong point. But, it is what it is. We all fall into this trap. Even I have fallen into this trap, Jonathan. I remember spending just weeks trying to figure out how to get a website up when I first started. Had I just been smart enough to just outsource it to somebody, it would save myself a lot of time and a lot of frustration, aggravation. You're not controlling the center line when you do that. So don't, my whole point is this: don't waste time on the stuff you're not good at or don't know how to do, unless you just can't afford to have someone help you wherever. I mean, there are some people that are that broke, and that happens. I was that broke. That's probably why I didn't outsource anything during those days. But anyway, that's the first thing. Another thing is to not let yourself get distracted by things that, like, we'll call them bright, shiny objects if you want, but just products and things like that kind of distract you from what you're doing. There's another person I know. This person wanted to like learn from me and all that, and that's fine. And I'm not saying that I made this person like an apprentice or anything, because I didn't. But I just felt bad. I wanted to help her out a little bit, so I did. And so, but what would happen is I would show her how to do something the way I do things, because she wanted to learn things my way. Okay, so I show her my way of doing things, and then she would get distracted by somebody on Facebook teaching something completely different and trying to merge the two things together. And so, that doesn't work. Trying to it doesn't work. Oil and water, they don't mix. And but that's the thing, that person lost control of the center line in their business by doing that. And that person was always frustrated and all this, and for good reason. You can't mix these things. You pick a teacher, you pick something you want to learn, and you slavishly follow it until you've mastered it. And then you can go play around with other things and add things in and all that. I really do believe that from a principle-based point of view like that. So that's another way to control your center line. Not getting distracted by like all the crap on the news is another thing. Jonathan, I don't know about you, man, but that whole like Trump election and all that, there are a lot of people got very emotional about that, right?
Oh God.
I forgot it was even election day that day. I literally forgot it was election day that day until this girl that I was on a date with started despairing because she hated Trump and everything.
Of course.
Yeah, and all that. And I was like, wait a minute, today's the election? Because I don't follow the news. I don't even look at it. When I went into Facebook and all, I don't even spend much time on my Facebook page. I only spend time in my, in the private groups and all that. I don't do that. I don't spend time on there. I might go to Twitter or something, but even then, most of the things I follow on Twitter have nothing to do with politics. Some of them do, but a lot of it's like the friendly asshole and guys like that, where I just like retweet jokes. That's like, I'm not even in, like, if I got distracted by all this stuff on the news, and I see people getting literally depressed by the things on the news, especially when it came to the election, all that. Butthurt and depressed and all this stuff. It's like, why? So you shouldn't even be paying attention to that. Shouldn't you be writing an email right now? Don't you have something better to do? This is good advice, John. I'm going to dispense some good advice to the audience here. Whenever you're despairing over something that you can't control, whether it be politics or something happened, whatever, to a friend or whatever, something's going on with something that's distracting you from your business, just ask yourself this. Don't I have something better to do? Really?
Oh, man.
Do you have something better? I'm telling you, just taking that attitude will change everything for you. If you just lost a client, boo-hoo. Don't you have something better to do than sit there and worry about it? Why don't you go get a new one? You know what I mean? Like, control the center line. Don't let things knock you off from what you're supposed to be doing. That's my whole point. Shoot, I could go on and on for years with this stuff, Jonathan, but I think I got the point across. You want to occupy the path. You want to control the center line in your business. Don't get distracted by things. Do what you know you need to do. Focus on the things that you're indispensable at. Outsource everything else. Don't get caught up in other people's drama and all this other thing. And if you do, you start asking yourself, don't I have something better to do? And there'll be peace, probably, in your life. I don't know. I can't say that for sure, but it'll be more peaceful. So I have no idea what we're going to talk about next time, Jonathan. I'm smelling I'm kind of smelling an Email Players Rules episode, though. So we'll see.
Uh-oh. All right. So that is a wrap for the battle. Oh, shit. It's never going to happen. BenSettle.com podcast. I got it that time. We'll be back with you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
You've been listening to the BenSettle.com podcast. To get your hands on a free issue of Ben Settle's prestigious $97 per month Email Players newsletter, simply go to www.bensettle.com.
This is the podcastfactory.com.